We should be live. We'll do one quick test, and then after we test out, we Gucci, as they like to say, the young people. Uh-oh, sorry. Just taking me a quick second. I need to pull up a camera here. Make sure that we can be heard and seen. Otherwise, we're wasting our time and we have to do it again. All right. Can you look at the text and see? Is it from Brother Nate? Because he may very well be paying attention. Or can you not figure out my phone at all? Okay. It's okay. We live, though. I see it. I'm trying to see if I can hear it. Mic check. Oh, hold on. This is it. Mic check. Okay. Yep. It's okay. We live, though. I see it. Okay. Very good. I'm trying to see if I can hear it. All right. We live.
Test.
Okay. We good. All right, brothers and sisters. I'm Brother Jedi. We're here at the Israel Church of Jesus. I'd like to thank Brother Cam for coming out this late evening to help me participate in the task that we're taking here at hand. What we're doing right now is a little unusual for my taste, but at the same time, we're going to try to do our best efforts to help people out there that watch social media who have access to this video understand how the Bible determines the new year. The reason this is important for us to know how the Bible determines the new year is because the Bible shows us in Leviticus 23 that, you're supposed to do the feast days in particular seasons. Of course, we have the unleavened bread, and then the Feast of Pentecost, and then, of course, the Feast of Tabernacles. And these things are done based off of the month and based off of also the moon. So it is rather important that we get a good understanding of this. As we do the video, I want you to understand that when we were in the days of the scriptures, they didn't have calendars. They had to deal with what God provided, and that's what we're going to learn today. So we're going to go ahead and start this off actually in Psalms chapter 72. So when you get to Psalms chapter 72, pick it up at verse 1. When you get to Psalms chapter 72, pick it up at verse 1. And I think that's the right place. Psalm 72, pick it up at verse 1. And when you get there, no, that's not the right place. Oh boy, sorry about that. Psalms chapter, the first place we're going to start here is Psalms chapter 81. I apologize. I don't know where Psalm 70. I'm going to go read that when I get home, y'all. So we're going to start at Psalms 81, and we're going to pick this up at verse 1. When you get there, go ahead and read.
Sing aloud unto God, our strength. Make a joyful noise unto the God of Jacob. Take a psalm and bring hither the timbrel, the pleasant harp with the psaltery. Blow up the trumpet in the new moon, in the time appointed on our solemn feast day.
All right. So he just said, blow up the trumpet in the new moon in the time appointed on our solemn feast day. So we got this new moon here in Psalms. We're not going to work the board yet. So we're going to run over here to Leviticus 23. I'm not going to make this long. I know it seemed like I'm starting that way. It's just a couple of scriptures that we must establish. So we're going to go to Leviticus 23. And the first thing we're going to establish here is how we get a month. So we're going to start this off at Leviticus chapter 23. And we're going to pick this up at verse 23. Leviticus 23 and verse 23. So we're going to go to the Bible aspect. After we go to the Bible aspect, we're going to deal with some literature and some numbers, and we're going to figure this out, y'all. So go ahead.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, In the 7th month, in the 1st day of the month, shall ye have a Sabbath, a memorial blowing of the trumpets.
So this was, he said here, speaking to the children of Israel, saying, in the 7th month, in the 1st day of the month, shall ye have a Sabbath, a memorial of the blowing of the trumpets, a holy convocation. So this is where we begin to understand that the month and the moon, even the word month itself comes from the word moon. They work hand in hand. So one thing we're going to learn, and for many of you that will be watching this, you already know this, is that our moon, our new moon, determines our month. And I put equal, but really I should just put what it is. The new moon determines the month. All right. That's one thing we learn here. Each new moon is a new month. All right. But what we're going to learn is how do we determine a year? Okay. So as we proceed further, and Brother Elijah from Israel, the Church of Jesus at the Gary location, he did a wonderful class on this. So if you really want all the great details, you will get them. I'm just trying to show some board work here so that we can really get a grasp and a few things to help others understand. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start this off at Leviticus 23. And the reason we're doing this in such capacity is because one of the key elements to understanding how the Lord started the year is to understand that it was all based around agriculture. It's very important. Everything was supposed to be done in its particular season. All right. So go ahead and pick this up in Leviticus 23 and verse 1. When you get there, go ahead.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, concerning the feasts of the Lord, which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocations.
Go ahead.
Even these are my feasts. 6 days shall work be done, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of rest and holy convocation.
That's right.
Ye shall do no work therein. It is the Sabbath of the Lord in all your dwellings.
Go ahead.
These are the feasts of the Lord, even holy convocations, which ye shall proclaim in their seasons.
Very important that you proclaim these feast days in their season. All right. So let's go over here. Let's skip down to verse 6. And when you get there, go ahead. Well, verse 5. Go ahead.
In the 14th day of the 1st month.
So now we seen on the 14th day of the 1st month. And if we go back to Exodus, I think it's chapter 12 or 13. I'm not going over there right now, but we see that month is called Abib. That's the only month that God gave to the children of Israel by name. Okay. Now I know we can go in the Bible. We can find some names of some other months. That's not what I'm saying here. This is the only name that God gave to Israel by name. The 1st month, Abib. All right. So he said, these are the feasts of the Lord, even holy convocations, which ye shall proclaim in their season. Now, before we proceed further, let's hold your spot there, Brother Cam, please. And let's go over to Genesis chapter 1, because we need to read something right here real quick. Put this in the equation, because everybody that's watching this video might not necessarily be biblical scholars. And when I say that, I know my brothers out there, and I'm actually doing this in response to some things that we dealing with on Facebook. But I know, so my brothers out there, they know this stuff. But at the same time, it ain't just about us. It's about us getting this gospel out there to the whole world. And we are trying to have a good understanding so we can show the world, hey, we ain't April Fools. You know what I'm saying? What we do in the springtime is proper. Genesis chapter 1, pick it up at verse 14. When you get there, go ahead.
And God said, let there be light in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night. And let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years. So
now we saw in Leviticus 23 that we supposed to do this for in its proper season. Now it says here, and God said, let there be light in the firmament of heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and for years. So the sun and the moon is what we use to determine days, which of course we got a grasp of that. We know that, the day starts when the sun goes down, That's the end of a day. The beginning of the day starts at the evening when it's dark. And it goes for basically a 24-hour cycle, 12 hours in the evening, 12 hours in the day, basically. Then we also know it said here, so we use the sun and the moon for days. Then it said we use the sun and the moon, let them be for signs and for seasons. Well, we use it for years and for seasons. All right. One thing I do want us to pay note to, brothers and sisters, it didn't say weeks. See, we use the creation to base our week. All right. And that's something, that a lot of people can kind of get confused on. But it said for days, years, seasons, and it also said for signs. And we're not going to really deal with that aspect of it, but we could. So let's go back over to Leviticus 23. And again, I'm not going to take up all your time. I do know I kind of move kind of slow when I start things off, but I get that from one of my teachers, Brother Danny. So at any rate, Leviticus chapter 23, and we're going to go ahead and pick this up at verse 6. And when you get there, go ahead.
And on the 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread unto the Lord.
Go ahead.
7 days you must eat unleavened bread.
Right.
And the first day ye shall have an holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work therein, but ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord 7 days. And the 7th day is an holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work therein.
Go ahead.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel,
right, and
say unto them, when ye be come into the land.
So we say, when you get into the land, keep reading.
When ye be come into the land which I give unto you, and shall reap the harvest thereof.
All right. So he's saying, when you get into the land and you reap the harvest, pay attention. This is what we're going to build from in this one, on this particular note this time. We're going to build from the agriculture aspect of it. Because what I'm hoping is maybe this time we'll be able to see a little more clear from this viewpoint. All right. So he said, when you reap the harvest, and we're going to use the encyclopedia to help us even understand that. When you reap the harvest, go ahead.
Then ye shall bring a sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest unto the priest.
All right. So we talking during the spring or during the first of the month time period. All right. We're going to reap the harvest. And then the next process that we're going to take here is when ye become into the land, you should, he said, bring the first fruit. First fruit. All right. Now we're going to hold our spot here real quick, and we're going to go to Exodus 23 now. Exodus 23. All right. And because what that is going to begin to walk us to is actually a particular feast. And we're gonna learn this stuff because we're gonna go to the encyclopedia, and we're gonna catch some of this information here. So we're gonna start Exodus 23 at verse 14. Exodus 23 and 14. When you get there, go ahead and read.
3 times thou shalt keep a feast unto me in the year. Thou shalt keep the feast of unleavened bread.
Go ahead.
And thou shalt eat unleavened bread 7 days, as I commanded thee, in the time appointed of the month of Abib.
That's the first month, brothers and sisters. In the first month, we're going to keep the feast of unleavened bread. Then we read in Leviticus 23 that after we keep that feast, we're going to look for the first fruit. And we're going to get to that first fruit shortly. Go ahead.
In the month of Abib, for in it thou camest out of Egypt, and none shall appear before me. And the feast of harvest.
So the next feast he called was the feast of harvest. All right. So this is, I'm trying not to do the same thing that Brother Elijah taught this past weekend. So I'm trying to help us see it in a different light. So he said, and the feast of harvest, go ahead, finish that 16.
The first fruits of thy labor.
The first fruit, remember we saw that, of your labor, the first fruit. Now watch how we gonna learn something about agriculture today. We're gonna learn about farming real shortly. So let's go back to Leviticus 23. Leviticus 23, and while he goes back to Leviticus 23, I'm going to grab a dictionary. And we're gonna deal with this part here. Okay. Encyclopedia, but go ahead and read. Where did we stop? We stopped at Leviticus 23 and verse 10. Read verse 10. Go ahead.
Speak unto the children of Israel and say unto them, when ye be come into the land which I give unto you,
right,
and shall reap the harvest thereof, then ye shall bring a sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest unto the priest.
Go ahead.
And he shall wave the sheaf before the Lord to be accepted for you.
So you bringing your first fruit to the Lord of your harvest. And then he's saying that you're going to wave this sheaf unto the Lord to be accepted to the Lord. Okay. Now let's skip down to verse 15.
And ye shall count unto you from the morrow after the Sabbath, from the day that ye brought the sheaf of the wave offering, 7 Sabbaths shall be complete. Even unto the morrow after the 7th Sabbath shall ye number 50 days. And ye shall offer a new meat offering unto the Lord. Ye shall bring out of your habitations 2 wave loaves, or of 2/10 deals. They shall be of fine flour. They shall be baking with leaven.
It's no coincidence he's saying it should be a fine flour baking with leaven. Let me explain what was going on, brothers and sisters. So now the second feast that we're reading about is called the Feast of Harvest. Now, well, we did a little research, me and Brother Joe, amongst other brothers, but me and Brother Joe specifically on this aspect. And I learned something. So we looking up wheat, and we're in the encyclopedia, World Book Encyclopedia. I knew this information before I walked here. I picked up one of our encyclopedias off the shelf and found the same information. That's how we came to use this. So we looking at kinds of wheat. There are 2 general groups of wheat: winter wheat and spring wheat. The kind planted depends primarily on the climate. Winter wheats are used in mild climates. Spring wheats are found in areas where the winters are extremely cold. Each major wheat group includes varieties of both hard and soft wheat. Winter wheat. Now listen to this. This is very careful. This is very important for us to understand how we get our new year. You say, well, what you mean it's important to understand how we get our new year? Because once I begin to show you how the moon cycles, then what we're gonna find out is the stationary, or what we using now to set a foundation for the year, is what the Lord showed us we was gonna be doing in its season. So it said you looking for your first fruit directly after a month of Abib, after the unleavened bread. Now I'm gonna show you what first fruit you got at that time period. It says winter wheat is planted in the fall and harvest the following spring or summer. So winter wheat, again, is planted in the fall. So we're going to put fall up here. And then it goes past the winter to the spring or the summer. Spring or summer. Now, on our Gregorian calendar, brothers and sisters, we talking about winter wheat is planted somewhere around September to, we'll say, November. And it is harvest, we talking about winter wheat, somewhere from March to, we'll say somewhere to summer, we'll say early summer. So we'll say somewhere around June. All right. So this is the winter wheat. Okay. And we're going to leave this up here for a minute because this is going to help us understand. We're going to keep this up here as we determine our new year, how we deal with that. All right. So winter wheat is planted in the fall, harvest the following spring or summer. Winter wheat gets a start before cold weather begins. Growth stops during the winter. Growth stops during the winter. See, brothers and sisters, in the winter months, everything is dead except for the evergreen tree. Funny how that is. Growth stops during the winter, then begins again in the spring. If winter wheat is planted in the spring, it ordinarily would not produce a crop. So if you plant this particular wheat in this time period, it won't work. All right. So if we was out here planting this fall at the end of the year, meaning the end of the Lord's year, which he calls tabernacle time, then it'll skip through the winter and take you into the spring, summer for harvest. So when this comes up, we will grab our first fruit of it and we will go ahead and present it to the Lord. See, this is what the feast days was. This is some of the things that the feast days was operating with. All right. I also like to thank Brother Lee because he called me today and he was on the same page. All this stuff helped me, to understand this even more clear. All right. Winter wheat needs fairly low temperatures so that it can develop properly during the early growth. Among important varieties of winter wheat grown in the United States. So they grow that here in certain places. United States got a lot of land, so we're growing a lot of type of wheat. Spring wheat, this is the second one, is planted in the spring. So we got this winter wheat, we just do WW. And now we got spring wheat. All right. Spring wheat is planted in the spring and ripens the same summer. So spring wheat starts here, planted in the spring, and it's going to ripen in the summer. All right. So it's going to go through the springtime and into the summertime. All right. So these is your types of wheat that you got going on. Now, when you start talking about the Feast of Pentecost, it's called in Exodus the Feast of Harvest. This is what we harvest in here, wheat. That's why we dealing with bread, and when we get to the unleavened bread, and when we get to the bread and make your cakes with unleavened bread. When we was reading Leviticus 23, okay, it says spring wheat is planted in the spring and ripens the same summer, usually a few weeks after the winter wheat. So basically, it's coming just a couple of weeks after that wheat. All right. If spring wheat is planted in the fall, it would not live through the winter, except in mild climates or during usual warm winters. Among important varieties, then is spring wheat grown in the United States. Okay, because of course this is a U.S. book, So what we learning here is in the wintertime, we ain't growing nothing. All right, that's what's happening in the winter. Now, so keep this in your memory books or rewind it if you need to. Because now we're about to deal with numbers, the actual numbers for our year. And before we do that, I just want to show us one other thing. Let's go down here to Leviticus 23 and let's because that's not the only thing you necessarily growing. Don't get it twisted. Like when you read 22, it says, and when you reap the harvest of your land, thou shalt not make clean riddance of the corners of the field. When thou reapest, neither shall thou gather any gleaning of thy harvest, thou shalt leave them unto the poor. I mean, you might have corn, you might have all kind of stuff. But the one thing we do know is that the fruits and the vegetables that we growing, they're going to be dead in the winter. We're not going to be pulling that stuff out the ground in the winter. We would have done that before. That's why the pilgrims back in the day did Thanksgiving around right before winter kicked in. The last Thursday in November, because they was done dealing in the field. In the winter, we don't deal in the field. And it's important that I'm saying this. All right. So our last feast day is in the 7th month. So let's skip down. Let's skip over to verse 24. Go ahead. Leviticus 23 and 24. Go ahead.
Speak unto the children of Israel, saying in the 7th month, in the first day of the month, shall ye have a Sabbath, a memorial blowing of trumpets, and holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work therein, but ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, also on the 10th day of the 7th month, there shall.
So we all in the 7th month. So let's skip down now to verse 34. Go ahead.
Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, the 15th day of this month shall be the Feast of Tabernacles.
Okay, now this Feast of Tabernacles is also known as the Feast of Ingathering. Okay, and this in the fall time. And one of the things that we gathered during that time period is grapes. Now, I grew up in Detroit, and we were fortunate or unfortunate enough to have a grapevine in our backyard. So let me explain to you, without going to the encyclopedias, you could test me if you choose, it don't matter. Let me explain to you what I witnessed with my own 2 eyes. In the springtime, that grapevine would flower up. Then somewhere near the summer months, you would see these little pea-sized green seeds, but they would be like, like basically fruit from that. But we couldn't eat it. Me and my little brother would go out and pick all the little pea-sized things and throw them at each other because they was a little hard, but they could squash if you bust them on the ground hard enough. They were still a little hard though. Basically, it was an unripe grape. But if we managed to leave them alone, like our granddaddy told us, What'll happen is in the fall time, they'll be big enough to where you could actually take them off that vine and eat them in the fall time. That's what the ingathering was. They gathered grapes. So these are our feast days, and this is what it deals with. And again, what I'm trying to get us to understand is we don't do nothing dealing with the harvest or gathering or any of that stuff in the winter. By the time we get to the winter, the winter months, which according to our calendar, again, I know why I'm putting this up here, but according to our calendar, the winter months would be, let's just say, we'll say December to February. These would be considered our winter months. During the months that we call December and February, through February, there is no harvest outside. Today, where we live, anywhere in the northern hemisphere, basically, we don't. Now, I don't know when they do potatoes. Maybe somebody might say, oh, well, they got some potatoes growing in the winter, but I doubt it. I ain't never heard of nothing growing in the winter but evergreen trees, really. Not no fruits and vegetables. We generally pick that stuff in the fall, spring through fall time. We out there working. And then after that, they out there tilling the land, letting the land rest for the winter, and they back at it in the spring. I guess they do grow this winter wheat. All right. Now we're going to deal with, we got this. Now we're going to look at the actual moon. Because remember, we read in Genesis, it said that the moon is what we use to determine our years and our months and our seasons, okay? The sun and the moon. So now we're going to look at the moon. And one of the first things I want us to see in the moon, and I'm going to address everything that the brother pointed out in his video that he presented in social media. Because I know, he was like, well, you went to Revelations, and I'm going to do that at the end. Right now, we're going to establish this here. So right now, I'm looking at moon. World Book Encyclopedia, volume 13, nothing special. Moon is the Earth's nearest neighbor in space. In 1969, this huge ball of gray rock became the first object in space to be visible by man. Yeah, right. Let's skip down to the chapter that matter. The moon travels around the Earth once about every 29 and a half days. 29 and a half. So let me explain what that means. What that means is when you look at a calendar, I'm gonna put this up here too, but you can go check this out on your own. When you look at a moon cycle, you got the quarter moons. We're just gonna do them like this. And you got a new moon and you got a full moon, or vice versa, don't matter. All right. And what's going on is every 29 and a half days is going to be back at this new moon phase. So you're going to get this moon first, and then in about day 14 and 15, you're going to be at this moon. Now, what you got to understand is the moon will pop up, a new moon will pop up even in the middle of the day. That's why we got 29 and a half days, because we got basically a 30-night cycle and a 29-day cycle. Okay. And that's relevant. Then we'll take it back around here. And then around here, it's going to be day 28 and 29. You're going to get the new moon. All right. 14 and 28, 15. So it's not quite 30. It's not quite a 30-day cycle. So, and if we're going to prove that it's not a 30-day cycle, but then we're going to take it to a whole nother level. Because, see, God didn't give us numbers to determine this stuff. He gave us signs to determine this stuff. You go outside and you look at it yourself. I've done that. All right. So again, now what we're going to do is we're going to take this 29 and a half. And what we're going to do is multiply 29 and a half, a moon cycle, by a set. We're going to set a number. We're going to set the number 12 as our determined amount of months that we're looking for. All right. I don't want to lose this, but we're going to have to. So 2 times 9, and ain't nobody up here but Cam to help me, so I hope I don't screw this up, should be 18. And then 2 times 2 is 4, that's 5. And then we got 29. So that's going to give us a total of 8, 4, 348 days in what we would call a lunar year. How about that? We could call that a lunar year, meaning 12 months, like they do in some of the Arab nations who worship the moon. They go strictly every 12 new moons is a new year. So they joint going on 348 days. Now, man's calendar that they done concocted is putting you, they got 365 days. All right. Now, there's one more set of numbers that we're going to pull into the equation. And this set of numbers, I'm just going to throw it up here, is 360. And I'm going to show you why real fast. But even based off of 360 or 365, if we just dealt with the moon to determine something, we're going to learn today is that if we rotate this moon around the earth 348 days and we stay on that consistency, we're going to screw these feast days up. I'm going to prove that. So go to Revelations chapter 11 real fast. I want to throw this 360 out there real quick. Revelations chapter 11. Because some people want to say, well, you know, the Lord said it was 30 days. No, the Lord didn't never say it was a certain amount of days in his month. The Lord never said in the Bible that there are 12 months in a year. You do not read there are 12 months in a year. You don't read that. You do read there are 12 hours in a day, though. Okay, but you do not read. You know, somebody said, well, what about when you go to Chronicles and they give you each give you I think it was what they was doing. They had a captain over each month. Okay, we're gonna work with that. We're gonna understand that because 12 is the basic foundation. But just like the 12 is the foundation for the hours of days, sometimes we know a day has 13 hours. Just like 12 is the basic foundation for the amount of disciples that Jesus had, right? Including Judas, he was 12, but then they lost Judas, picked up Matthias. Dang. So what I'm saying is 12 is the basics for the foundation. Just like when you look at the tribes of Israel, it's 12 tribes, right? Especially if you want to say Joseph got a tribe and Levi got a tribe, but Joseph got a double portion, Manasseh and Ephraim. Manasseh and Ephraim, right? Both of them are tribes. Okay, well then what? So we're going to discount Levi now? No, so that made 13. So the basis is 12. But at the same time, the Lord did not say that your year has to have 12 months. You do not read that. All right. So we're going to find out based off of some of the things we have read. Revelation chapter 11 again. Revelations 11. And we're going to pick this up at verse 3. Because we're just going to get right to the point. Go ahead. No, verse 2. Go ahead.
But the court which is without the temple leave out, and measure it not, for it is given unto the Gentiles, and the holy city shall they tread underfoot 42 months.
So we got 42 months. Go ahead.
And I will give power unto my 2 witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days.
1,260 days. All this equals 3.5 years. Time of the Great Tribulation. All right. So during that time period, obviously something gonna work pretty perfect. And we're gonna see that basically our months average 30 days. And when I say average, because again, I know what I've observed and what we're learning is that the moon cycles on the 29.5 day. So we're gonna leave that there. That's cool. Because we're not saying that it don't never give you just 12 months in a year. That's not what we're saying. All we're saying is we do not determine a year based off of a specific amount of days. Here's why. 348 days is what we get when we cycle. Oh, Lord, I hope I did this math right. Let me double check this. Yep, 2 times 2, that's 4. Carry the 1, that's 5. 29, that's 8. That's 4. 348. Okay, so I did the math right. Oh, no, I did it wrong. I see why I did it wrong. Bam, something told me somewhere I was messing that up because I thought it had more days than that. So I'm glad I caught that. So now we're going to redo the math. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do it a slick way. We're going to add 6 days to this because we multiplying it by 12. We hate taking half of a whole number. So it's 348 plus 6 more. I hope you guys understand that. You got calculators at home. I'm working the board. So it's going to be, so you're going to have to figure that one out with your calculator if you need to. So what did we have before? We had 8. So 8 plus 6 is 354 days. There we go. That's more like it. I apologize for those that are at home shaking their head at because my math work sucks. But it's 29 and a half days multiplied by 12 gives us 354 days. All right. The Lord, we saw him point out 360 days using 12, 60, and 42 months, 3.5 years. And man came up with 365. All right. Now, this is what we're going to do. We're going to start a race right here. And this is what we're going to call a year race. We're going to take it all the way around. All right. This is going to be the new money. All right. So we're going to start this race here with 365 on the bottom. No, we'll start that one at the top. 365. And then we'll put 360 and we're going to put 354. All right. And we're going to take it around. We're just going to use the arrow. We're going to take it around. Now, what's going to happen is we're going to stop coming here on particular days, meaning we're going to get back here at 365 this particular day. And we're going to get 360. We're going to come here. We're going to end up 5 days short. And 354, we're going to actually end up 9 days short. All right, for 1 year, because these are the numbers given to us as a cycle. Now, let me explain something here. New year equals, or new month here equals new year. All right. So this is the springtime here. This is the fall here. This is the summer. And this is the winter. All right. Then we'll deal with 365 for the sake of us being able to comprehend. In the winter month, we'll say January. We'll say February, March. We'll say April, May, June. We'll say, I think we should be saying July. Yeah, we'll say July, August, September, and we'll say October. I hope I did that with some sense. November, December, January. Yep. Okay. So as we roll through our year, this is our year right here. All right. Now, the significance in this right here in spring and fall, which is when we're going to start our year, which is when our food begins to grow. Remember, our winter harvest starts in the fall, and we see it come in the spring, and our summer harvest starts. Our spring harvest starts in the spring and come up. This is when this is that month of Abib up here. It starts up here. We'll put that name in here too. Much respect to Abib. All right. So if we continued by number to go around and determine our year by number, what's going to happen is this is year 1. And we losing 9 days with 354. We losing 5 days with 360. And 365, brothers and sisters, they get April and the spring right every year. Every year, our spring falls in April, March, April. That's what we mean by April. Every year. So obviously, man done figured out something right here. Okay, they calendar is not based off of 360 days. I'm sorry, it's not. Okay, now, so what we getting at is, what's significant about this time is that the days are 12 hours by 12 in this time period. All right. What we're looking for in this time period is the first new moon that keeps us closest to 12 hours in the day and 12 hours in the night. The first new moon that keeps us closest. Okay. I'm going to just leave it like that. Okay. Because we've explained this a few times. Go ahead. So again, if we do 365 days going around, that'll bring us back here. If we do 360 in year 1, we'll be 5 days short. And if we do 10 years from now using 360, we're going to be off of 365, we're going to be 50 days short. 360 equals 50 days short. All right. And if we subtract 9, we ain't even gonna count that 366 they throw in there to keep they back, because they understand science. So they know they gotta see they dealing with numbers, and they numbers won't come out right. Because we ain't dealing with numbers, brothers and sisters. We dealing with what we see. We dealing with what Genesis told us to deal with. You go look at the moon, and you go look at the sun, the moon and the sun. This is where the moon and the sun come in, because it got to be 12 hours in the day, 12 hours in the night to come to that season. Once we get to that season, we looking for a new moon in its season. All right. Now, what happens is if we do 354 days, that take us 9 days short. 11 days short. So in 10 years, that's supposed to be 10 years right there. In 10 years, that take us 110 days off. Yeah, 110 days short. So what happened is 110 days short. So we're gonna use man calendar again. From 354, which is the lunar cycle, in 110 years, we would start our new year if we just based it off the moon in the 12 month, every 12 new moons. If we just based it off of that, what would happen is in 10 years, we would have our new year start in 110 days short of April. That's 120 right there. We'd be January 10th, hypothetically, if that's April 1st. January 10th. Here's our problem. And it'll keep going backwards till the cycle back around. Here's our problem. We won't be able to deal with, I hope everything's right. Let me see. Oh, okay, I ain't worrying about that. Excuse me, I just want to make sure we still broadcasting. I don't see nothing here. Okay. So I hope we still broadcasting. Okay, yeah, we are. All right. So what we're getting at, what would happen is, and I'm sorry for that quick pause, I'm doing longer than I thought, is that we would have our New Year's start if it was based off of just 12 new moons. It'd eventually be in January. 10 years later, it'd be in the fall. 10 years later, it'd be in the summer. It'll just keep cycling around. Brothers and sisters, that's not going to work. That's not how this going to work. It is based off of agriculture. We saw in our feast days, brothers and sisters, that in the first month, in the first month, then after we weigh that first fruit that we got, the first fruit that I'm presuming had to come from this winter wheat that we grew that comes up in the spring, summer. Once we got that first fruit or whatever first fruit you got, it didn't grow in the winter. It didn't come up in the winter months. It's not going to come up in January. Our Pentecost would be thrown off so far. So, brothers and sisters, with that being said, I'm hoping that we're getting some type of understanding. Give me 1 second here. Yes. Emergency. Yes. Not emergency. Talk to you later. Sorry. I got kids. So hopefully we're understanding that if we deal with just this lunar, or even if we just deal with 30 days into a month, 30-day months, 30-day months, 30-day months, it's going to take us off the proper channel of being able to celebrate our feast and with the proper understanding that we're supposed to have. So again, I'm hoping that the brother understands where I'm coming from with this. I hope that I help somebody get some understanding out there. I'm really stopping because I don't want to take forever, plus my family's starting to blow me up, but I think that we're getting the picture. So with that being said, brothers and sisters, peace to you, and I thank you for your time. Appreciate you, Brother Cam. And we're going to go ahead and cut this off. Hello? Yes. Yes.